In this first segment, we're going to take a quick look at the tutorials and tips that help demonstrate the Learning to Quilt lessons that I've been covering over the past 2 seasons. When I first wrote this book 12 years ago, I never imagined I'd be standing in front of a camera teaching to all of you out there. Let's take a look at what we've covered. Ready! Hi, my name is Nancy Rolfsma, and I'm a quilter. I'm going to share with you some tips and techniques that I use when I'm making quilts that make quilting easier. A 9-patch block is a block with 9 squares in the construction of the block. So now I have opened up just those last stitches. Now when I open this up to press it, I can press this seam in one direction and the second seam in the opposite direction. For this technique, I've cut these squares 2 7/8 inches, which is the size that I need for a 2-inch finished half-square triangle. Here we have a flying goose. This is probably the easiest technique for doing flying geese, but I'm going to show you a couple of different techniques a little bit later on. So here's your divers. They're going to walk to the end of the strip of fabric. I know it's silly, just hang in there with me, okay? As they're at the end of the fabric, now this is the fold of the fabric, you want them to lift at the same time. So in synchronized diving, I'm told, they actually jump at the same time. I know it's silly. And then they fold it, and then they jump into the pool at the same time. This one's called the purple thang. Now the purple thang has a very sharp point. It also has a squared off edge so that when you're using this to turn your pieces, this is not going to be so sharp that you're going to poke through the fabric, but it's sharp enough that it's going to give you a really crisp point. Here's my last one coming out. All the paper is out. Not even a smidge of paper is left behind. And the front side looks beautiful. So with this wonky strip coping technique, you're going to see that the strips are going to end up being large on one side and the smaller, so the blocks are actually tipped. So the first row is going to be the bottom row that is going to have our large assembled setting triangle on the 2 ends, our rail fences, and then our sampler blocks. That's going to be one row. Our second row, so let me fold this down. Our second row is going to be our setting squares and triangles with just a rail fence. And then we're going to end with our third row, which is a corner triangle. Pick up another one, lay it down. So do you see how quickly I can do that? Not that I'm trying to rush you through the quilt making process. It's just one of those things that can make the process go a little bit faster so you can get to the end stage of your finished quilt. So now our little quilt is all done. We have our first border using the cornerstones in it, and then we have the traditional horizontal border to finish this out. Then when you spin the seam ripper, so now it's on the fat side, that's going to make the head of the pin raise up, and then you push the pin down to close it. So it's really quite quick. So I've got my walking foot on. My walking foot is attached, and what you want to notice with the walking foot is as it works, there's these little top teeth that are going to come up and go down. And that is going to actually move the fabric at the top and the bottom. So your feed dogs underneath are going to match up with the feed dogs on the top with the walking foot. And what I figured out really early on, that the proper thread for in the ditch quilting is invisible thread. But I am a huge Star Trek fan, always have been, have loved watching sci-fi. So to me, a design like this looks like an alien. He has a big head and a little neck. And then there's another alien, and he's got a big head and a little neck. When that is done, the quilt is done. That means I have finished my quilt. Before the binding is on, the quilt isn't finished, so now it is finished. Thanks for watching our video. If you like that one, be sure you subscribe to our channel. We wouldn't want you to miss a single video. And leave a comment. We would really like to hear from you.